you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't? Should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas.
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
Well, you're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
What started as a question about illegal immigration quickly turned into one of the most heated exchanges of the hearing. Congressman Brandon Gill challenged Governor JB Pritzker on immigration, public safety, and several controversial past positions. Here's how the confrontation unfolded.
Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money.
The cost of illegal
your state.
immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's
I'm
cost to
asking
the
you if
state
you
of
know who
Illinois as a
Franklin
result of the
Jose
failed
Pena Ramos is.
immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as a no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir,
question.
Before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? That's a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be apprehended.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal
I'm
aliens,
asking
these
you,
are
should
people
these
who are
people have been
given
welcomed
asylum.
and helped into our communities?
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
Well, you're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum
from
seekers
your
who were
own
here
statement.
legally.
And
There
then
were
they
asylum
went on and
seekers.
murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn
Someone who
Nungary.
commits murder should be held accountable. We do that in the state.
And
of
you think
Illinois.
they should have been welcomed into our communities before they did?
I don't know how you can tell before somebody commits a crime
You can
that they are
secure
going
the
to
border
commit the
and
crime.
not let illegal aliens come into our communities. Do you support abolishing ICE?
Asylum seekers.
Do you support abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You
In
don't.
fact,
You believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the Organized Communities Against Deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying "Abolish ICE." Do you support this?
I do not.
Is this a
support
reflection of
abolishing
your
an
moral
immigration
values?
force.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
That's good to hear.
Gill begins with immigration and public safety, repeatedly asking for direct answers. Pritzker responds by distinguishing between broader immigration policy and the actions of individuals who commit crimes, setting the tone for the rest of the exchange.
Mr. Governor, do you think that biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's
sir.
just a yes or no question.
Why are you
It's very easy to
politicizing
answer.
this?
Do you
I
think
thought
that
we were
men
here
should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry?
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You
It has
tweeted
nothing
that
to do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has
I'm
nothing to
asking
do
you,
with
you're
today's hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are
You regret
politicizing
saying
this
this?
in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
Do you
the
regret
failure of the federal
encouraging men to
government
use women's restrooms?
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you in
subject
their-
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for? So you're admitting that this is just a political circus.
No,
Is
I'm
that what you're doing?
asking you
This
because
is
you put
nothing
this
to do
on,
with
on the
immigration
internet for everybody
and
to
really
see.
about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? that that's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk about
You
your
can't say that
failure to
normal
vote
people can
for
say that they
Medicaid. In
don't-
fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
men should be in
and
women's
SNAP
restrooms.
And
That's a
veteran
very
services.
straightforward question.
You apparently want people
And you're
to die
encouraging men to
in the
use
United
women's
States
restrooms
because you
where there
want to
could be
take healthcare
underage
away.
girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going to
you think that's
politicize this,
normal?
let's talk about what you're doing to people in
you
this
think that
country
that's normal?
by virtue of your votes.
All right, let's move on.
The discussion suddenly shifts away from immigration. Gill questions Pritzker about a past social media post, while Pritzker argues the topic is unrelated to the purpose of the hearing. The exchange quickly becomes one of the most contentious moments.
President Trump.
Do you support Hamas's agenda?
Sir, I do not. They are a terrorist organization.
Your administration gave a grant to the Muslim Civic Coalition, which just 2 weeks after October 7th was marching in the streets of Chicago to, quote, stop the U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. Is that a reflection of your values?
I have spent my life fighting anti-Semitism.
No, I'm asking, is this a reflection of your values?
I'm not sure why you're attacking
Because
me
your
about something in an
administration
organization.
gave money to this organization.
I'm explaining to you that what we do in the state of Illinois is stand up for what we believe are
You didn't
our
have to
rights
give
and
money to
freedoms.
the Muslim Civic Coalition
People
to
have
march
the
and
right
call,
to express themselves.
to
That-
stop the
we don't-
U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. That was your choice.
I know
that was your
Republicans want to
administration.
take away people's right to free speech. We don't in the state of Illinois, and I
They've
do
got
not
the
believe
right to
that
free
is
speech.
proper.
They don't have the right to tax dollars, and you gave them to them.
You want to take those rights away from people. I understand.
The focus shifts once again, this time to grants and public demonstrations. Gill questions state funding decisions, while Pritzker responds by emphasizing constitutional protections for free speech and peaceful expression. The exchange ends without either side changing positions. Gill presses a series of rapid-fire questions across several issues, while Pritzker repeatedly argues that many of those questions move beyond the original subject of the hearing. This exchange moved quickly across several topics, but a common thread connected nearly every question. Congressman Brandon Gill focused on accountability by challenging Governor JB Pritzker over immigration, public safety, state funding decisions, and previous public statements. Rather than staying on one policy area, Gill introduced several issues that have generated public debate and asked the governor to respond directly to each of them. The discussion began with immigration and the costs associated with unauthorized immigration. Gill referenced specific criminal cases and questioned whether people entering the country should have been welcomed into communities before later committing serious crimes. Pritzker responded by separating the broader immigration system from the actions of individuals who commit criminal offenses, emphasizing that crimes should be prosecuted while also distinguishing between asylum processes and criminal conduct. That difference in framing became one of the defining themes of the exchange. Another significant topic involved organizations that had received state support. Gill questioned whether grants awarded to certain groups reflected the governor's broader priorities, particularly when those organizations later participated in demonstrations or expressed controversial political views. Pritzker responded that constitutional rights, such as free speech and peaceful assembly, remain important principles regardless of whether government officials agree with every viewpoint expressed by private organizations. That exchange highlighted a broader policy question frequently debated in government: whether funding decisions should be judged primarily by an organization's mission or by every public statement made by individuals associated with it. The hearing then shifted unexpectedly to questions about bathrooms and a previous social media post. Gill argued that the post reflected support for policies he believed deserved clarification, while Pritzker questioned the relevance of the topic to the committee's focus on immigration and state governance. This section became one of the most confrontational parts of the hearing because the discussion moved away from policy details and toward broader cultural and political debates. The final portion addressed state funding involving another civic organization and comments made following international events. Gill questioned whether providing grants to that organization aligned with the governor's stated values, while Pritzker responded by emphasizing that individuals and groups have constitutional rights to express political opinions, even when those views are controversial. Once again, the disagreement centered on how government support should be evaluated when recipient organizations later engage in political advocacy. Throughout the hearing, both participants relied on very different communication styles. Gill asked a series of concise, rapid-fire questions that often sought yes or no answers and referenced previous statements or decisions. Pritzker frequently responded by adding context, challenging the framing of the questions, or arguing that several topics extended beyond the hearing's original subject matter. Those contrasting approaches contributed to the tension visible throughout the exchange. More broadly, this hearing reflects the role congressional oversight plays in examining public officials. Members of Congress often use hearings to question governors and executive officials about policy decisions, public statements, and the use of taxpayer funds. At the same time, witnesses frequently seek to explain broader context or challenge how questions are framed. That dynamic is a common feature of oversight hearings, particularly when politically sensitive issues are involved. Ultimately, this exchange presented two distinct approaches to several high-profile public policy debates. Congressman Gill emphasized direct accountability and questioned a range of decisions involving immigration, public safety, grants, and public messaging. Governor Pritzker emphasized legal processes, constitutional protections, and the importance of considering broader context before drawing conclusions. As with many congressional hearings, viewers may evaluate the arguments differently depending on how they interpret the testimony and the evidence discussed during the exchange.